Today we're on Real Lessons in Real Estate, and my special guest today, Ken McLachlan, broker owner of Remax Hallmark, very famous brokerage, very great reputation. So I'm very pleased to have you on my show
I'm very pleased to be here. Thanks for the invite, Lorraine.
anytime. So my first little blurb is usually let's talk about Ken. What made Ken do this? How long are you in the business? How many agents are at your brokerage? Let's talk about that for a little.
Wow, what made me do this? I think I have I've
Besides
been
insanity.
insanity. I think I realized. In fact, I know this as a fact. When I was 13, I had the first inkling that I was going to get into real estate. I remember the moment exactly when it happened, and the thought I had, and the quiet determination I gathered at that time. So that was with me when I was 13. I always knew that it would happen. I always knew that I wanted to be in charge of my own destiny. I wanted to be. I didn't want to become. I didn't want to have the situation where I was redundant one day, where I would have somebody come to me and say, "Oh, you're a great guy, but there's this new college graduate that's 35 years younger and he's 35% cheaper. Whatever."
Yeah.
So I wanted to have some kind of control of what my own destiny was going to be like. So I knew real estate would do that. Any commission sales job would do that, really. But real estate was what I liked to do. I thought I did anyway. And then I got into
That's
real
a pretty
estate.
young age at 13. That's pretty young
Yeah,
to be making that
yeah,
decision.
yeah. It was. I think a lot of us. My theory is, if we all look back to what happened in the ages of 13 and 14, there is a compelling event or something that, if you look back hard at it, it will tell you about what your future was decided at that time. Anyway, I can get into that some other time. But I I moved here from Calgary, Alberta. I was a beef jerky salesperson in Calgary. Got transferred here to Alberta, and guess what? Nobody knew what beef jerky was in 1979. So my job was to start up the eastern branch of this company that I worked for. And I was here for 6 months, did not know one person in this city.
Wow.
Moved here with my wife and went about trying to establish wholesale contacts in the food business. I hated the business. I didn't think it was, I always thought that at the end of the day, if they came to me and said, did you make a difference? And in selling beef jerky to me wasn't making a difference. So I wasn't proud of what I was doing. I knew my journey was going to be bigger than that. So 6 months in Toronto, again, not knowing people, the owner of the company phoned me up and said, listen, we're shutting her down. We're done. We're not doing it. There's out of our control. I feel so bad. Transfer you to Calgary, from Calgary to Toronto. And I said to him, I said, you know what? It's all good. I'm going to make it happen. So I went into real estate. I got my license. And soon enough, I became lucky enough to find the area to work in at that time was Riverdale, and I just happened to be in Riverdale, and I got to work for a company called Terry Martell.
I
And
remember that.
yeah, and I didn't know anybody again, and I just started door knocking. I had enough money for 3 months, and the only way I could do it was to get out and meet people, door knocking in open houses and things like that, and just kind of learning and running with it and trying. I knew I had to get a deal within the 3 month period to feed my family and myself. We only had two of us, but I still had that pressure.
Sure.
So I really went to work and I loved it. I actually was overblown by the energy, the variety. Coming from Calgary, I never met the variety of in the late '70s of people. And the variety in Toronto was tremendous, and I was really blessed by that. So I got to meet a lot of different great people that I didn't have the exposure to in Calgary, and my life kind of took that flow of being in this business. And by the first year, my goal was to replace the income that I had with the other company, and I did that. And then I started doing business and business and business. And within 6 years, I left Terry Martell and went to Remax Hallmark. And the company at that time had 53 people, and I was at Pape Avenue. And I became, within 2 years, the top salesperson. I loved it. I was a really good salesperson. I was lived off my database after developing a great database. And I really serviced that and looked forward. I thought at the time that, and I still do that, I wanted to be my client base. I wanted them, whenever they thought of real estate, that they would think of my name, and then they'd call me. So they did, and then something happened in 88, 89, where I said to myself that if I have to sell one more house, I'm gonna, it's very. I got tired of it, and I think I got tired of it just for a few months or so. And I think if I would have had someone around at that time to mentor me and say, listen, get over it, focus on this, don't get too overwhelmed by it, I would have had a different path. But unfortunately or fortunately, I didn't. I made the decision at that time to get into ownership. And I ended up being, I didn't have any money. I ended up being a small 25% partner in RE/MAX Hallmark, and with 3 other partners. I knew nothing about ownership at all, nothing. I just knew that if I did the work consciously and profoundly and with integrity, shit happens, it works out. And it did. So we grew the company from 53. I was a small-time partner, and eventually I became the owner of it. We grew it from 53 people to 2,000 people. And that was all through working it, developing it, being engaged. And it took me, Lorraine, I can actually say, looking back, there was a period of 15 years of doing it that if it was very, very difficult. It was not an easy thing. It was we didn't have any money. The company had money, but we didn't personally have money. And I had 4 kids under the age of 5. And, it's just, times were tough. And I remember thinking back, what am I doing? What I could easily make more money selling real estate. But I had this vision that I wanted to build a long-term structure in place, a long-term business that I wanted to do. And I stuck with it. And then one day, I think after, well, as I said, 15 years, it kind of just, things started rolling. It all that work I've done, we did, as partners and everything else, kind of really layered on top of each other. And all of a sudden, opportunities came our way. We started buying other companies. We started having different impacts. We started investing. We started a lot of things. So it didn't happen by itself. It was all that work that we did. And I always tell people that are in this business, it's not an overnight thing. It's really, it takes a lot of work and energy and commitment and doing integrity-based decisions, integrity-based actions, and having the confidence that if you do the work, the results will flow. And it stuck with me that way. So I did that. And then we developed this company now where we're basically the biggest RE/MAX for volume in the world, the number one real estate company in Canada for every brand. And but that was never our goal. Our goal was only about doing the best we can, having the people around us that do the best they can, giving them opportunities, and helping. We have 3 things in our company that we stand by, and one of them is that we're in the business of building your business. So it's very clear that all our actions, our leadership team is really, our job is to help your business grow. Because if your business grows, my business grows, and we're all happy, and you're making a big difference in the community that we live in. The other thing is that we're not bystanders in our community. So we have a foundation that is really, really engaged in helping youth, in particular, in crisis situations, homeless situations, and all that. So we have a foundation called Hallmark Giving that gives a lot of money. Plus CMN gives a lot of money like that. And the other thing that we really are strongly committed to is that we're guardians of the industry. So this industry that we have the privilege to work in is being challenged a lot. There's a lot of flow with it. So our job as a corporation is to make sure that we don't go down to the level that everybody else is going down to. We want to rise above that. We're not perfection. There's no question about that, but we actually are hopefully making a difference in what we're doing. So
Very good, very good.
that's the
So
background.
let me ask you, Ken, when you say to me that one of your main criteria is that you help agents grow their business.
Yeah.
Tell me a few things about how that happens. What do you do there?
Well, listen, this is not a business that there's one shoe fits all. I mean,
No, of
there's a
course.
lot of, I know that when I started in this business, and he's still strong today, Mike Ferry.
Mhm.
I knew that if I had to follow, he's a tremendous coach, by the way. If I had to follow what he was doing, the timelines, the work, the discipline of cold calling, blah blah blah, I would have been out of the business. So that didn't suit me. So I had to find a way of. There's nothing more important than connecting with people on a regular basis. So I had to discover how I could connect with people efficiently that wanted to buy or sell real estate, and that may or may not need my help. So I didn't want to do a cold calling because for me that was really wasn't stimulating to me. So I had to develop other aspects to it. So I went door knocking, database farming, a lot of different things. So in our help agents build their business, we have to identify, and we do, what's their genre, what's their lane. So not everybody has the same lane. Not anybody has the same skill, and not anybody can be a certain way of cold calling or a certain way of doing open houses or expiries or whatever it is. So we find out what their best lane is for people, and we help them get
Yeah.
very good at that. So that I think is really important, because I think a lot of people get pushed down a lane that they're really unhappy with and that they're not effective because of that. But there is a way you can grow your business by being engaged in something that you love to do. So we spend a lot of time helping them grow their business that way. And the other part about it, Lorraine, is the understanding the logistics of the financial part of this business. I think too many agents don't have and I was guilty of this as well, too many agents don't have the knowledge or the expertise to understand what it's really like to run a business, and how important it is to get the understanding around. If you don't have that understanding of running the business, you need to get that pretty quick, because you're throwing money away, ego-based money away that you shouldn't be, and it's not returning what you need. What's to return your KPI and all that stuff. So we spend a lot of time with people that we want them to understand the cost of this business, what they're doing, how they can leverage their business, and the efficiency of this business to get the returns they need.
I find that the average agent today, I'm talking about newer agents coming into the industry, they don't even really understand that they have to treat this as a business. You know, everybody's paying a lot of money today. It's a lot of money to get a real estate license.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
coming into whatever brokerage you're working for, not really understanding that you're self-employed and this is your duty to run this little corporation in order to get ahead. And they're not understanding that. In my own training that I do with agents, again, I just go back to, 35 years ago when I got a license. It was everybody just thought the telephone was going to ring, and every time it rang, I was going to make $10,000, and yet you couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what's missing today, I mean, a huge amount of agents with not a lot of production at this exact moment.
Yeah.
I think the last time I looked at statistics, maybe about a month ago, we'd done enough transactions in 2025. Well, I should say not enough transactions. The number of transactions we've done so far in 2025 was equivalent to when we only had 15,000 agents, and yet now we're 70.
Correct.
That's very scary. So what does that tell me? It tells me, well, one, there's some glitches in the market, but also I find people are not working the way that they should be in order to make a lucrative career for yourself. They're not understanding the basics
At the
of
business. Yeah.
of the business
I
for sure.
agree. Well, I call them transactional agents, where they're
Mhm.
chasing the next deal is what they're
Correct.
doing, and rather than Walter Schneider, who a mentor of mine, taught me this thing years ago. He says, we have to focus on the next 200 deals, not the next two deals. And so our training, our coaching, the way I live my life is basically focusing on the next 200 deals that are out there. I mean, if you focus on the next two deals, you're in that stress, that role of that thing that really is can defeat you a lot. But if you have a long-term vision and you have a long-term plan and a long-term business to run it at, you're going to be much better. It's not easy, as we all know. But I think the difficulty is when you're chasing a deal, you have commission mouth breath, I guess they call it, and it tends to get in your way a lot. So I think being not transactional but long term, 200 deals rather than two deals makes a great sense for a lot of people, and that's what we coach a lot on.
I did a short training video yesterday, actually, that I'll post in a couple of days onto YouTube, talking about exactly what you're saying now, transaction-based business versus relationship-based business. And I think that's another giant glitch in our real estate agents. How many times have you heard, Ken, in your career, people say, this is a numbers game. This is a numbers game. It's not a numbers game. It's a relationship game. If you build relationships with people that, again, as you said earlier, are built on integrity, are built on trust, and my biggest word that I always use are built on knowledge, an agent's
Hmm.
knowledge. You're building a relationship based business where people will give you repeat and referral business forever if they trust you.
Yeah, I agree.
When we're doing exactly what you're saying, chasing the next deal, frantic for a paycheck, we're not even serving that buyer or that seller. We're serving ourselves.
Hmm.
Number one problem with that transaction right there. And they're writing up their trade record sheet. They're all happy. They made $25,000, and we have just now cast that person aside.
Yeah.
When really, if we look long term, you've been in the business a long time, such as myself, every person that we do a transaction with throughout our career, I think, is going to bring us a minimal of 10 transactions at least.
Well,
If
it's
you know how to work.
yeah, the opportunity of that it does exist, and I don't think a lot of us are living our life as a business person aware of that. How important that relationship is, as you're talking about. That
Amazingly
yeah,
important.
it's an incredible connection to a lot of great people out there, and it just by you doing the very best you can
100%.
at that time, and I think that's a major reason for my success, whatever success I've had, is that I'm not committed to the outcome. I'm committed to the action of doing the work. And I had a lesson, probably I'm going to say a major lesson in my life in the '80s, where I was actually probably within the first 5 or 6 years of being in this business, I was just at wit's end. I was like, I was done. We didn't have what we have right now. Okay, the conversation that I could learn from you, hopefully you can learn from me. We could share ideas and stuff. It was just a transactional business in the early '80s because we were all chasing that dream. And I remember being working at Martell, and I was sitting there, and I was just like, "This is it. I'm out of it. I can't do it. I don't know. I don't know what to do anymore." I was sitting, going through the in those days, they used to have the newspaper, the Toronto Star, the want ads. Didn't have the computer. This is way back. Right? Computers or anything else. So I'm sitting there going through the want ads. And I'm thinking, looking over these ads for sales. I didn't have an education that I could do anything but sell. But insurance salesman, drug salesman, retail, jewelry, whatever. And a friend of mine in the back who seldom got involved, he says, "What are you doing?" Tim and I are in the bullpen, the only room. And I said, well, I'm having a tough time. I'm looking for jobs. And he says, "Well, you can't do that. Let's talk." And he never ever took the time. This guy's a senior agent. Never took the time. He said, "Let's go for a beer." In those days, I drank. So we went for a beer, and he actually schooled me. He said, "Ken, you're focusing on the wrong thing. You're focusing on the actual outcome of your business. You need to focus only on your actions. And the only thing you can control on a day-to-day basis is what you're doing and the effort you're doing, and the results you're getting will flow from the effort you're doing. So quit worrying about the results. Just do the work every day."
Right.
It was a long afternoon conversation, but that was the gist of it. And Lorraine will tell you that was transformational for me. So it allowed me to focus on something that I knew that I could control, my actions every day, my prospecting, my following up on people, my being engaged with people. And I knew that if I did that work and I did better at that work every day, the results would flow inevitably. And that switched my business around completely in a bad market. I just focused on every day building my business on that. So
Of course.
we actually help people do that as well to get their
I like to
minds.
give people what I call um, the five fives. So when I'm training agents, I tell them that every single day, Monday to Friday, no weekends because you're doing open houses or you're showing or whatever, that every day you must make 25 contacts. I don't
Yeah.
care where they come from, past, present, future, means nothing, open house attendees, somebody I sold 10 years ago, but in a day, I must make 25 contacts, whether it's on the phone or whether it's via text. And it's not a sales call. It's just a hi, how are you? How's the family? How's your dog? How's your mom doing? And if people did the math on that, I believe just off the top of my head, that's about 16,500 contacts a year. So if I had the worst rate of return in the world, I probably could do a minimal of 10 transactions, which is a lot more than the average agent is doing today on the Toronto Real Estate Board.
Yeah.
Yet, for some reason, that is too difficult for agents to comprehend.
Well, I don't want to bother people. I'm in their way. I'm a salesman. I get all this response back for it, but
I'm tired. I want to
yeah,
get,
I you hear it all the time, and I look at that and I'm thinking, what do you do for a living? What's your job? I'm here to be of service to Lorraine, and Lorraine knows me, and I'm not ever. I don't think I've ever in 40 plus years of this business. I don't think I've ever once sold a house to anybody. Once. I've never done that. I've never convinced you to buy this house when you didn't want to.
no, of
Okay. It was
course.
always I facilitated it for you. I gave you knowledge. I helped
Mhm.
you make a decision. That's my job. And
Absolutely.
my job is to connect with you and say, can I be of service to you? And if not, can I be of service to any of your friends that need help? So
Yes.
that's the conversation. And people, for some reason, and I had this guilt going way back as well, that I didn't want to bother people. Oh, I don't want to do that. Well, what are you doing? You're being of service to people. And so I agree with you that 25 people a day is an ambitious number, but it's critically important. But I'm going to throw something else into it, all right, if I can.
Yes.
There's another course called the course we teach called the Challenger Series. So the Challenger Series is what Harvard University Business School did years and years and years ago. It was mostly business to business testing, but it relies on sales people as well in this business. So what they wanted to find out, Harvard wanted to find out, was that what makes a great salesperson? Why is this person more effective, more efficient, more productive than this person? And they did these testings and different things on this, and I'm paraphrasing a lot of this, but you can Google it and find out. But basically, they said essentially there's five styles of selling, and one is a lone wolf selling. What get out of my way? I'll do what I want to do. We see all these people in real estate. They're the lone wolves out there. They're just on their own. You never talk to them and whatever. And that's fine. Anyway, there's the other two examples are relationship selling, and there's a thing called challenger. Relationship selling is people that, and I'll use you as an example, Lorraine, is that Lorraine, I'm here to help you with anything you want. If it takes to show you 20, 25 houses, I'm going to be your friend. I'm going to help you. I'm going to educate you. And no matter what it was, if you don't like this house, we'll find you something better. That's who I am with you, long term. That's relationship. Number
Absolutely.
two, number two is the challenger. And the challenger person is that, Lorraine, we've had these discussions. I've found out that through our discussions that you're looking for X, Y, Z, and I'm going to help you get that. When time comes for X, Y, Z, I'm going to ask you to put an offer in because that's exactly what you want. We'll deal with it and we'll go forward with it because that's my job to help you get what you want. If it isn't what you want, we'll assess what's changed, pivot from there, and make sure we get you what you want. Now, what Harvard learned was the most ineffective way of selling was, guess what? The relationship builder. And the relationship builder allowed the client to take the lead on what went down. Oh, I'll show you. I've changed from townhouses to,
Oh, yes.
yeah. And the challenger selling was basically the person that did their work, did their homework, understood the client's needs and wants and aspirations, and fulfilled those needs and wants and aspirations, and then allowed them to make a decision. And that the people that did that And if you look at if you studied all the top producing real estate agents, that's who they are. They're challengers. And it works really strongly. It doesn't mean that they don't develop relationships. That's their strategies. It doesn't mean that they're not nice to people. But the shift happened for me when I stopped being afraid to say what I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
Always respectfully, always with ethics.
Of course.
So that was a big shift in my life when I started to become more of a challenger type of business person and salespeople, and helping people, train people to be aware of how they're being with their clients. Anyway.
It works. So let me
Yeah.
take that one step further and ask you a couple questions then, Ken.
Yeah.
The average agent today, and again, when we're talking about this, I'm going to say I'm talking about new agents, new to the industry.
Brand new.
And we get a client and we go out and we're showing homes. This is just my observation in general. No experience, no knowledge of that marketplace, no knowledge of what I'm showing you, and yet I don't have the time to pre-inspect. So I'm going to take exactly what you said, because if I find you the criteria that you asked me to find you, you're correct. We should be doing an offer. But if I take you out and I'm too lazy, and I like to use the word lazy because we have a lot of really lazy agents, why would I not be pre-inspecting those 5 homes that I'm going to show you in order to ensure that they fit your criteria? I would look a lot more professional when I know more about the house because I've already been there. I know where to locate the lockbox. I love this when agents show condos and there's 55 lockboxes outside and you've never been there, so you have no concept of how to find that. And you've now taken 30 extra minutes of your buyer's time wandering a parking lot in the dark,
Yeah.
looking for this lockbox. You go into the property, you don't know where the lights are. You don't know really if what you read on the listing is actually the truth, because there's a lot of fabricated things to
Yeah.
do with real estate.
Mm-hmm. Get it?
Yet it's a $25,000 opportunity, and you didn't have 2 hours to go pre-inspect these properties to look more professional. It's mind-boggling to me that you wouldn't take that time to ensure that your prospective buyer is not disappointed with what you show them.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Lazy.
Well, I don't think they're invested in the benefit for their client. They're searching for their quickest and easiest and fastest way to do a deal for themselves. And that doesn't mean I'm going to inspect properties. I've seen houses like that. I've seen condos like that. I have an idea. That tended to be, that's a thought. It's a lot of work to inspect this. I don't need to. I can get by with it. I can fluff my way through it. But the reality is, the better agents, the really, really good agents that are running this business, take the time to gather the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Take the time to do the work prior to meeting their clients. I know agents that spend hours prepping for a listing appointment. And they sit, a visual of a top agent doing this, 6 or 7 comparables on the living room floor and looking at them all and comparing this one here, what's the deficit of this and of this. So when she walked into that listing appointment, she knew everything there was to know about what this person had been competing against to get the value for the property. It's the same thing. Our job is to actually be the eyes and ears for our clients that are hiring us. If we're not doing that job, what do they need us for? They don't need a driver. They can get an Uber driver to do what they want, to go to open houses, okay? So the better agents are actually taking the foundation work and doing the job necessary to get background information. So I can have a conversation with you and say, listen, based on what you told me, you're looking for a 3-bedroom, blah, 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 blah. These houses that I've inspected, 5 of them suit that, 6 of them didn't. I'm going to show you the 5 that did. And then I'm going to tell you why the other ones didn't before on that. Of these 5, you're going to be able to get a good sense based on what you want, based on what you told me you want, so we can go forward with it on that. So that's the job that we are supposed to be doing. Okay? The reality of what is happening now for a lot of, and I don't want to be too gringy on our industry because I'm really proud of our industry, but I think a lot of our our fellow peers are taking the easy way out.
Mhm.
And the easy way out, it means is that eventually it will get caught up with you. Eventually, this business is it's not a stupid business, and it's a very clear that eventually this business will find you out if you're not doing the job necessary. And I think the job necessary is to treat this as a business, run it as a business, do your homework, make sure that your clients are fulfilled and they get everything they need from the work you're doing.
Exactly.
And they let them make the decision. My job is always to give you enough knowledge so you're going to be in position to make the best decision for you and your family.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Completely agree. So tell me, Ken, what you think of today's market, this very volatile, different market that we're in. How are you feeling about what's going on?
Well, there's two aspects of it. There's the business of being a realtor in this market, and the business of the industry. Okay, so let me talk first about the business of being a realtor. I think it's an exceptional opportunity for better realtors, meaning better realtors by people that are focused on doing the best they can on a daily basis. Those 25 calls, those inspecting properties, the conversations, being educated, getting away from these mind blocks that we create for ourselves in our heads, that roadblocks that we have up there that, well, I can't do this, I can't ask that, I can't whatever. Getting rid of all that nonsense like that. This is an exceptional opportunity for growth. Exceptional, because most people, most realtors, I believe, our competition, are really floundering. And they don't have the means they don't have the environment to actually continually grow their business. So if you're connected with peers that are in an environment that are helping you grow your business, this is the time to grow your business. I think there's a great opportunity. People are always going to be buying and selling. There's people God are dying, unfortunately. They're divorcing. They're being transferred. They can't afford the house. They want a bigger house. They have a smaller house. There's always people moving.
Of course.
My job is to find those people. My job is to be of service to those people. So I think this is a great opportunity. And actually, it's a great opportunity because at this time when the market is tougher, they need me, my services, who I'm a professional, much more than they've ever needed before.
I
Okay?
couldn't agree
Yeah. So that's my job, and it creates amazing opportunity for me to get out there and do it. So that's what we're looking at as a real estate agent. I'm like, wow, bring it on. Oh, I'll compete in that market anytime. Rather than a market that, if you put a sign up, anybody can put a sign up and sell it. What do you need me for? Hey, guess what? You need me now. You need me, and you're going to pay for it. And I'm going to do the job to make sure that you get the best service you can get. So bring it on. I think this is a great opportunity for real estate agents, and I would embrace it and do the work. And unfortunately, my sense is a lot of us aren't seeing it that way. They're seeing the negativity of it. They're reading the press, the tariffs, whatever. I can't control that stuff, so I'm not going to worry about it. I can control my actions. I can really finesse that. If I needed to have 3 listings to sell one house, and now I need 5 listings, I'm going to get 5 listings. It's a math. I'm going to do it. I have to have that because that's what I want to do. My budget is for that. So that's one thing. The industry is in a flux right now, I believe. I think part of the problem is we have 70,000 realtors, and this is going to be really a self-serving conversation right now. Maybe I don't think I want it to be a self-serving, but it might come across that way. I think that there are a lot of agents out there that are able to basically work for an organization for basically nothing, very, very few fees. And it's a free market. They can do what they want to do, and I'm not saying don't have those people. And that's freedom of the market. Competition is very, very important. But what it's done to the industry, it's allowed people that are really full-time, that are really not up to speed, like the professionals that are in it full-time and doing the stuff and investing the money in this market. So you're going to have a lot of people that are perhaps part-time, that aren't invested in it, that aren't spending the money. They're what we call cherry-picking the 1 or 2 deals a year. And they may get their uncle, sister, brother, whatever, and they're not really doing a great job. They're just facilitators of the deal on that. So that type of thing is taking away, it's doing two things in my view. It's taking business away from the professionals that are out there actually doing the work on a day-to-day basis and providing the service. And it's actually potentially hurting the sellers and the buyers that aren't being represented by people that are up to speed in this business professional. So it may hurt them. It doesn't always hurt them. I mean, there's circumstances there are a lot of good people that are part-time agents that are doing it, that are doing a good job. But generally speaking, the service it can't be as good as a person that's doing full-time professional. So I'm a little concerned about the industry, that there's that part of it that really is lowering the standard that way, that they're allowing people to do that. Price isn't everything. Agents have choices right now. They can work for 50 different models. I don't know, whatever they are out there. And there's something suited for them. We all have our own lanes on that. So I think the industry is really, it's not helping us by allowing people to be part-time. And that's the freedom of the market. I get it. I'm not interfering with that. But it's really, there's a segment of it that is really difficult. They're more transactional. So that's the industry, and the brokerages are different.
So we've lost 6,000, I think 6,600 agents since January. And I make Lorraine's prediction that by 2027, I think we'll lose 25,000 agents.
Let's hope.
And I think it'll be really, really good for the hardworking, diligent, knowledgeable agents to really showcase their abilities when that transpires. And I think that they have to be working on that today and understanding that. I think
Yeah.
if you're part-time, I mean, our fees are getting higher. It's a big investment for somebody that's only doing one transaction, maybe a year or two. And I think there's big opportunity there now for other agents.
Yeah, I agree, and we have to showcase that. We have to showcase this is the difference working with a professional realtor that's committed full time, has the mechanism in place to help you and the knowledge to help you, rather than working with an agent that is part time or not engaged with it, or is representing their uncle or their aunt, and they're just doing it for a low fee. And they can charge whatever they want. It's not a fee discussion, but the value is really of what am I delivering to get you the intent that is important to you. Okay, so I think that's where the industry to me is really is having difficulty right now with that. I see this a lot. We do a lot of work in the States as well, less than we want. We're doing less and less these days because we don't want to, but it is really occurs to us is the American, typically, and really typical, they're more transactional people down there. There's a lot of people that are doing it, and I think our industry has to raise the standard, raise the bar as best we can, and there's room for a lot of different brands and models and everything else.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, Ken, new agent coming into the business today, what's your advice to them? What would Ken tell them?
Patience, very patient. The expectation that this is going to happen within 6 months or a year, I would think, is be patient with it. Have a foundation behind you, have the dedication. I would think that in the first 6 months, what I would do, I would actually try to experience from other agents that are senior in this business. Watch them. Watch how they're doing. Watch how this person does their open houses. Watch how this person does their database management. Watch how this person does their social media. Go on the list, investment thing. And study them a lot and spend time with them. And actually, this is exactly what I did. And what I did is I didn't try to become them, Lorraine. I grabbed the best piece of this person that was whatever, and I kind of molded it into my way of being, of my personality. So I learned from these people because they were successful, are successful, and I wanted to see what made Joe Smith successful. What was it and I looked at his trait and thought, wow, that's really good. He is whatever. And so I kind of flew it into the melting pot of who I was. And after about 6 months of watching these people do their business, I kind of okay, I got a little bit of a pattern I can follow about me now, about how I'm doing it and what I want to do. I know my strengths. I think I know my strengths, and strengths always change. And but I learned from the people in the business that are come before me and that are really, really good at it. And I didn't take all they had, but I took one or two things that they had and I molded it into myself. So I would encourage them to study from the best, connect with the best, spend time interviewing the best, spend time watching the best. You know what I said to my son one day, that my son's in the brewery business, one of my sons. He says he really wanted to be in the brewery business, really wanted to get into it. He was having trouble getting a job. And I says, well, maybe you should go to these people that you want to work for and say you work for 6 months for free, just to learn the business and just to understand. And he did. And he's been in this business 3 or 4 years, but he took the step. And I think a lot of us have to do that. Listen, it's a 6-month period of learning about maybe even longer, it might be a year of learning how the best operate at what they're doing. And that's like an education for us. And there are a lot of agents out there that would just, with a phone call, would say, yeah, come on, spend the afternoon with me. Mm-hmm. No problem at all. And learn from me. And I'll share it because that's what we do. That's what we do in our company a lot.
Yes, I agree. I do a lot of that myself for other agents, taking them to open houses, training them on how to effectively do an open house, how to polish their listing presentation. I mean, everybody needs help, and there's nobody better to learn from than somebody that's very successful.
Yeah, I agreed. And I send people to, if they want to learn about specifics about certain things, they go to this agent. If they want to learn about this, they go over here. There's always different things, and they grab what they can from them.
Of course. So before we leave each other for today, I want you to tell me why Remax Hallmark. If somebody says to me, Lorraine, should I go to work at Remax Hallmark? Who are they and what will they offer me? Tell me, Ken, what will they get if they come to Remax Hallmark?
We ask our agents. So it's a good question. Like, there's a lot of choices you have. So we asked our agents, what is it that you value the most of our company that we bring to the table as a brokerage? Because you have a lot of choices. And the number one thing that they come back at on a regular basis is the leadership. The commitment that the leadership team, we have a strong leadership team of 24 or more different departments and leadership, that they're totally committed to the three things that I talked about. In the business of building your business, we're not bystanders in our community, and we're guardians of the industry. So those three things, if you asked anybody in my leadership team what their focus is, that's what they would tell you. So with Hallmark, you're going to get the number one thing that people focus back on is the tremendous leadership team we have that will actually be there for you when you need us and help you, guide you along your way. And you're not just a number. You're not just a person that follow this like everybody else and you'll be successful. Well, it doesn't work that way because you're not that person. You're changing. So we adopt what we're doing to your needs. What's your roadmap? Where's your lane? Where's your doing? So we discover that. And plus we have the connections to, okay, you want to learn about investments, so you go see this agent over here. I'm going to set you up that way. So I think the leadership team, the investment that we have, and the true investment in help you grow your business and help you to become an effective, efficient agent is in our DNA. And I think that's the one thing that people value the most. We know you have choices. We know there's a lot of different people, whatever. But the truth is, this is the business that we're in. We're not in the business of, we want you to be an investor in different things. Mm-hmm. And we will there's another lane we go down to help you invest your money and to grow and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? This is the business of helping people buy and sell real estate. That's what we do for a living. And we're going to help you do the best you can on that because we have the leadership team involved. And we've asked people what they value the most, and that's what they tell us.
So what would I get if I was working at Remax Hallmark? Would I be getting, for example, a monthly training calendar and I show up when I want? Or how's that training done?
Well, we have a thing called a hub. We have training every day that's going on that suits your needs, that will get you involved with that. But mostly it's the interview process of connecting with myself or somebody in the leadership company. And again, there are a lot of them in their different regions to learn about what the industry is about. So as you initially start, you'll be assessed, you'll be looked at. We might put you in a team. We might suggest, listen, you need to spend a year working with Joe Smith on his team or her team, learning, getting the foundation work, and having them mentor you. And that might be your apprentice for a year. So this is a long-term commitment. It's not a in and out, get a deal like that. So it's a really interesting format where we are committed to the longevity of your business. And if you're working with Hallmark, we would connect you with the environment that helps you grow your business like that. So that everybody's different. It's not one shoe fits all.
Well, and that's a really great thing to know as well, because, I always go back to back in the day when I got a license and went to Remax. There was no training.
No, I know. We didn't have to.
Here's the key to your door and figure it out.
Yeah,
And I,
you know what changes for us? It was KW coming into town. We looked at before KW. I don't forget what year it was. Before KW, and I tell people KW made us a better company. So before KW came, we didn't have any focus on training at all. And then I looked at KW coming in, and what were they selling? And I thought, well, they're selling this tremendous training package. Whatever we do, I says, this is valuable. It's important stuff. We need to take a look at and make our company better by being a better training company. So we did that. So their influence, and I hope we influenced them, which I'm sure we did as well, to be better companies along down the road. So we get all these different companies coming in. We do the same thing. We grab the best trait from each of them and mend it into who we are. And try to, the company we are today is not anywhere near the company we were 3 to 5 years ago. It's completely different. Because in the next 5 years will be a completely different company as well. Because things
we have to be changing with the times and changing with what's going on around us, which is amazing, because a lot of agents, if they don't have that in front of them, they're stagnating and they don't know how to adapt to different markets. And I like to use the example of today's market, because if you had a license 30 years ago or 40 years ago, every house took 90 to 120 days to sell. So this isn't a strange market to me,
It's a great
personally.
market. It's
It's
real estate.
it's the newer, 7 years and down that are used to 24 hours to sell a house. Hey, everything's great. And now they don't know how to work
Yeah.
a real sale.
Well, we also have this thing, Lorraine, we do is and I'm sure you know this as well, there's course junkies. So there are real estate agents out there that take every course under the book. Every course that's offered, any training that's offered, any whatever. And you have to, you need to be trained. You need to have expertise, people that know what they're doing it. But the other thing that I want to tell people, let's get dirty. Let's get out there and experience what it's like to talk to people. Experience what it's like. I know whenever I got down, and we get down all the time, get down and disconnected, the first thing I did was I went door knocking. Not because I thought I'm going to sell a house, but I wanted to talk to the public, the people that made the decision for my career. I wanted to have conversations with them. So the more conversations I had with Mr. and Mrs. Smith again in the public, door knocking, the better I got at my craft, the better I felt about my craft, and the more productive I became. I got out of my funk. So we want people to get dirty. That's a weird way of putting it, but do the work. Get out there and do the work. Try, make mistakes. I mean, I don't make critical mistakes. I don't mean that. But make a mistake about how you learn from these things and what you're doing, especially for a new agent. Like, really, don't be afraid to get out there and learn from your mistakes. And we'll have your back. We will protect you. We certainly won't let you do anything that's unethical or out of integrity. But trust yourself that you're not going to get in those situations, and we'll back you up. So we want people to do that.
Away their fear. It takes away their fear of speaking to people. The
Yeah.
more people you speak to, the more you talk about real estate, the easier it becomes for you,
Yeah.
the more knowledgeable you become, and eventually it's just you have no other conversation other than real estate. I think we all know that when we're in the industry a long, long time.
It's never
It's
been
in our blood.
it's never been about the commission.
No,
The
and their needs.
the money flows. It's always going to flow. Just do the job. Do the best job you can do every day. And some days are better than others. But show up for work every day. and do it and make a difference to people's lives and be of service to them and, make a commitment to people. And not everybody wants to have what you are providing. That's okay. Don't take it personal.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
it's not about
Exactly.
you. It's not about me. It's about them. And
Exactly.
my job is to really make sure that I'm being of service to everybody. And I keep saying it over and over and over again. My whole career has been built around that, about being of service to people. It never was, when we had those 53 people, that I had this vision that I was going to have or wanted 2,000 agents. Never. I mean, I knew that I wanted to build a really effective environment to have a lot of agents work for us to make a difference in people's lives. And was that 1,500? Is it 5,000? Is what? It didn't matter. I just want to keep having this environment, and that's what we've
Good
been
for
able to
you.
do, growing it.
Well, as we're wrapping up, I want to say to you, congratulations. You have tremendous success, and I really admire that. I know it takes a lot of hard work and dedication to be running a brokerage of 2,000 people, to be training people, to be really caring about their needs. This is a very spectacular quality. And I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Been fun.
It's been a huge pleasure. I really appreciate your
Yeah.
time. And I wish you and all of your agents every success that there is out there.
Great. Lorraine, you as well. Thank you for being a leader in this and for the work you're doing to expose, I don't mean negatively, but expose our industry and how it works and what's important to it, and the differences you're making on that are really critically important. I've watched some of your stuff, and it's really good stuff you're doing. So I
Thank you, Ken.
appreciate it. And I want to be clear, I don't do this alone. I have a great leadership team and great partners. Okay, this is not about me. This is about the whole thing.
The whole team,
The
of
whole
course, it's
team.
always, even with
Yeah,
me, there's people
I know.
behind the scenes,
I
but
know. I agree.
it's great that you would take the time out of your day to speak with me.
Well,
And
pleasure.
again, I wish you the most success that there is out there and keep up your great job. You're doing a
Great.
fantastic job.
Right back at you. Thanks, Lorraine.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Ken.
it. Bye bye.
Have a great day. Bye for now.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. If you'd love to increase your sales and change the direction of your real estate career, visit us at www.therealestaterockstaracademy.com. Hope to see you back here real soon.